because the leftist media is so hell-bent, so desperate to blame this on a red hat, MAGA-loving white guy, look how far John Miller goes on CNN. He's the head of their law enforcement analyst division at CNN. Listen to this.
Do they have any idea at this point who he is?
They do not know who he is. They know he is a male, possibly white. He's wearing sunglasses. He appears to have a mustache. And that picture has been distributed to every police officer in New York City.
Male, possibly white. Now, I worked for NBC, and they were so sensitive about describing anybody by the color of their skin. You had to have like 7 identifiers in order to finally get to the color of the guy's skin. But look at this picture. That, folks, is not a white guy. And even better is his concealed carry permit. All you have to do is take one look at the concealed carry permit. That shooter is not white. But they hoped it was. And they hoped he was hell-bent on politics. The truth is, this had nothing to do with left or right. It had to do with CTE, that brain injury that has affected so many football players and NFL players. He never played in the NFL, but he blames the NFL for CTE, and apparently got on the wrong elevator bank, went to the 33rd floor instead of the 5th floor, and he wanted revenge, apparently, against the NFL. But in the end, folks, let me just tell you this. He blames the NFL, goes in with a firearm, and what did New York have? New York has an AR-15 style rifle ban in place. It has gun-free zones everywhere, okay? And by the way, background checks wouldn't have done anything with this guy because he already had a concealed handgun license. Well, I want to bring in our good friend to talk about all of this. The president of the Crime Prevention Research Center, Dr. John Lott, is with us. John, welcome back to the show.
Great to talk to you. Thanks for having me on.
John, we're just about exactly 24 hours after this shooting. What do you make of the reaction from the left, and what do you make of the crime itself?
Well, I mean, the left was pretty predictable in calling for more gun control laws. I think what they're missing is that the gun control laws actually contribute to these types of attacks. You know, this guy broke multiple laws. The type of gun that he had is banned in New York. He was carrying it in public, which was also a crime. But the problem that you face is that if somebody goes and murders 4 people and is already facing, assuming he had lived, 4 life sentences, the notion of putting him in jail for 5 years or whatever for his 5th life isn't going to be a real penalty for them because it's nothing that they're ever going to experience. The problem is that for these types of penalties, for you or I, if we were to go and violate the same law, if we were to carry a gun illegally there, because it's very difficult to get a permit, spending 2 or 3 years in jail and becoming a felon would completely change our lives. And so what you ended up doing with these laws is making it so that law-abiding citizens obey them and criminals don't. All you have done is you've created an incentive, a magnet for criminals to go to places where they know their victims can't defend themselves. These guys may be crazy in some sense, but they're not stupid. Their goal almost always is to try to get publicity. And they know the more people they kill, the more publicity that they're going to be able to get. And they know if they go to a place where victims generally can't defend themselves, they're going to be able to go and kill more people. And just one last point, and that is the difficulty that uniformed armed police or guards have. They have a very difficult job. They stand out like a sore thumb. If these guys are going to go and shoot anybody quickly, it's going to be the people that they know have a gun. And the research that you and I have talked about before indicates that police who try to stop these types of attacks are killed at more than 7 times the rate of civilians who try to stop these attacks.
And that would make sense because you're going to go out and take out the threat instantly before they become a threat back to you. It looks like This police officer was killed in cold blood. I don't know if he had a chance to even respond. He's a hero in my mind, and I pray for him and his family and all the victims here.
Sure.
But I'm going to give you a little insight into how the media thinks, how corporate America thinks. This is Andrew Sorkin. He's a CNBC host. He said he talked to people that were in the building at the time. Cut 15, roll that for Dr. Lott.
For the last 2 years, corporate America has remained silent on all three of those issues, if not more, about how they should be using their voice and influence on some of the most intractable issues of our time out of fear that they are going to somehow offend policymakers, offend their employees, or offend perhaps the general public or their consumers.
John, I'll let you clean it up, but I'll tell you what, they should fear offending us if corporate America is going to weigh in on taking away my Second Amendment rights, so I can't defend myself against a shooter like this. I'll give you 30 seconds.
Yeah, I don't make Second Amendment type arguments. To me, the issue is safety. And from a purely practical perspective, if they were to speak out in favor of more of these types of laws, I think it would actually make people less safe. Police are extremely important, but the problem is that police themselves recognize that they virtually always arrive on the crime scene after the crimes occurred. And the question is how people should protect themselves. And having a gun is by far the safest course of action, often the only one. I mean, look, we just had this case in Michigan a few days ago where a concealed carry permit holder stopped a stabbing attack. Other people without guns who had tried to stop the attack were themselves stabbed and hospitalized.
We covered that last night. There was video of the perfect use of a firearm, never having to fire a shot, stopping a crime in progress, subduing the criminal until police get there, and yet we'll likely see no record of guns being used in that when it was clearly the gun that helped the Good Samaritans along the way. Dr. John Lott, I'm so appreciative of all the work you do at the Crime Prevention Research Center. Thank you for coming on tonight.
Thanks, Grant. Thanks for being there.
Absolutely. Always. Our Second Amendment is under attack, and the left will weaponize events like we saw yesterday in New York to try to take away your guns, when the bottom line is your guns in your hands makes everyone around you much safer, and the left better start to get that into their heads.